there are smiles that don't come from words, but from a spoonful of warm soup, a piece of soft cake, a dish that reminds us of the old days. For the elderly, food is not just to fill our stomachs, it is a memory. It is a slow pace of life amidst the busy days of our children and grandchildren. It is a quiet question, instead of times when we don't know where to start a conversation. I used to think I needed to take care of them with a lot of words. But then I realized there are times when a timely meal is more heartwarming than any sentence. A bowl of soup without a strong smell, a smoothie made from old fruits, a steamed cake wrapped round, soft in his trembling hands. Each of those dishes not only soothes the stomach, but also soothes the loneliness that the elderly cannot express in words. Because after all, what they need is not just enough to eat. They need to see, hear, and touch the presence of their loved ones, even if only for a few quiet minutes at the dinner table. I used to think, to make the elderly happy, we have to do something new, something special. But it turns out what made her eyes light up was an old cake, no frills, no decorations. A little aroma of ripe bananas, a little softness from oatmeal, a light coconut scent like the afternoons of the past, when she lit charcoal to bake cakes in the small kitchen. There are dishes that, when served, are not just nutritious. It is a ticket, bringing the person you love back to a sky of memories, where they were still healthy, young, and had so many untold joys. And perhaps, what made her smile was not just because the cake was delicious, but because in that moment, she felt she was still being listened to, feeling that she was still an important part of this house. I realized there are trips that don't require leaving home. Just a familiar enough dish, a little taste of the past, and he's on the go. No camera, no backpack, just a small handful of rice held in his hand that trembles with age. But that's enough for him to go back in time. Perhaps what the elderly remember most isn't the food, but the memories associated with that dish. It's the feeling that someone has prepared something just right for them. It's knowing that today, there are still people who want to listen to old stories, because sometimes the elderly don't need too much. Just a chance to be told, and someone willing to sit next to them without looking at the clock. A warm enough dish of rice. A patient enough child. That's enough for memories to come alive. And for love, no more missed appointments. From then on, I no longer considered dinner an obligation. It became a way for me to tell stories without saying much. A way for me to remind her that she was still loved, even though she no longer cooked like before. And I also realized what made her sleep peacefully was not the special food, but the care put into each spoonful of soft porridge. It was the gentle ginger aroma, like a hand caressing from memory. There are dishes that do not need to be seasoned too strongly, do not need to be colorful and eye-catching. They just need to be at the right time, with the right person, and with the right heart, because sometimes food is not just to fill you up, but to let someone know that they still have a place to lean on, even at the end of the day, even at the end of life. We often think healing is the job of doctors, of medicine. But sometimes, a small bowl of porridge cooked at the right time can also do that, especially for the elderly. When the body is tired, the memory is fading, but emotions are easily stirred up by old things. A smell of ripe pear, a light lotus scent, a soft, warm, familiar feeling. And in the moment my grandfather whispered about his childhood, I understood that love does not always need to be said loudly. It can be in a dish, a look, a quiet but full feeling. I still cook that porridge for him, not because it is a nutritious dish, but because I want every afternoon, even if it is rainy, cold, he can still see something familiar and warm. I gradually realized one thing: taking care of the elderly does not always have to be so elaborate. No need for a lavish meal. No need for a new dish every day. Just a small thing repeated with enough care. A simple smoothie. A look of attention when he finishes drinking without feeling full. A small habit every morning, but makes people feel loved in a very special way. Because love sometimes does not lie in the grand things, but lies in the quiet, regular, and sincere things. lying in a cool glass, no sugar, no ice, but filled with the gentle efforts of a grandchild who wants his grandfather to live healthy, live happily, and to see that there is still someone who always listens to his body aging every day. I used to think that being a good child meant showing up with gifts on holidays, calling once a week, and sending money when needed. But now, as I watch my aging parents more closely, I realize love isn't measured by how big your gestures are. It's how often you choose to stay. It's in the way you listen when they repeat stories, in the way you notice the rice is too hard or the soup is too salty, even when they don't say it out loud. These meals, this care, it's not glamorous. No one applauds you for peeling soft pears or steaming tofu every morning. But your parents feel it, and they remember not the ingredients but the feeling. My child sees me. My child still wants me here. That's what these meals say. So start with what you have. A spoon, a bowl, a little time. Serve it gently, serve it warm, and serve it again tomorrow. Because real love doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stay. There are things I didn't realize when I was young. That grandparents don't need fancy food, just food cooked with care. That parents don't expect their children to be very good. They just want to be listened to and someone to remember them every morning. I used to think, just live well, show filial piety later is fine. But the truth is, later is not always in time. As long as you can take care of a meal, still see them sitting down to eat, still hear them calling my child every morning, you are still lucky. So, if you are with your parents or grandparents, don't wait for a special occasion. Take care of the smallest things. A bowl of soft porridge, a glass of smoothie. A question, what do you want to eat today, Mom and Dad? Because those seemingly very ordinary things will be what you remember the most later. And if you are tired, exhausted, remember, you don't need to do a lot, just do it with love. A spoon, a meal, a slow gaze to listen. That is already the most complete way to love.